you guys seen the Woody Allen movie Zelig? Remember? The guy who changes into whoever he's talking to. With Barack Obama, I've kind of become the anti-Zelig. I'll be talking to, Progressive A. The Progressive A is a socialist from England, investigative journalist, balls out radical, and he's telling me, Rick, well, back up. He works on criminal justice issues, our armed madhouse that Greg has done so much to expose. And I told Progressive A, I said, how do you think Barack Obama is going to handle criminal justice? You really think he's going to change our system of basically controlled incarceration? Do you really think that he's going to change these insane drug laws, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? And this is what Progressive A tells me. I'm sitting there with this 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. You bet. And then he starts talking about how his 3-year-old and his 5-year-old made him realize that Barack Obama is this new vision for the future. They understand, they grasp it, and they started chanting Obama slogans right there at the dinner party at Davis. Yes, we can. I remember I've been traveling around, going to a lot of universities. I think this was in Grinnell College in Iowa. And Progressive B, who works on the radical suffragettes and their history, was saying much the same. And this is where the anti-Zelig kicks in, right? And I said, well, you're saying about, this was back in the November, the time of October, maybe it was after much, I don't remember. Around the rosy penumbra of joy and hope around Barack Obama. And Progressive B was saying, this is really the first bottom-up grassroots presidential campaign we've ever had. There's never been anything like this before. Look at how many people have bought into this movement. Millions of people who have rearranged their lives around civic engagement. I'm extremely excited about that. So this is where anti-Zelig comes in. Barack Obama, the Rorschach. I always find myself sort of about the guy to basically argue against whatever the hell anyone is saying about Barack Obama at any given time, because he really is a mysterious fellow. And I said, well, don't you think that this whole idea that this campaign is some kind of unprecedented sort of movement, isn't that kind of a brand identity like Nike? I mean, isn't Yes We Can much like Just Do It? Isn't the fact that millions of people have bought in quite enthusiastically to the Apple brand or the Nike brand or the Google brand, isn't that completely orthogonal? Isn't that a completely right angles to the question of what Barack Obama will or can do? And in fact, isn't it the case that Barack Obama has never shown an inclination to change anything that he believes because of pressure from below? And isn't that actually what makes him kind of an interesting and extraordinary figure? And she got really mad, and this was the pooping in the punch bowl at the nice fancy restaurant in Grinnell, Iowa, and the evening was ruined. But I've done the same deal with friends of mine who say, this guy is bombing the shit out of civilians in Afghanistan. This is what he essentially is. He's using the Hope and Change, Nike, Google brand, this idea of kind of mobilizing the civil rights rhetoric, the civil rights discourse, the movement energy that people have seen on TV, to mask the fact that he's actually a particularly blind form of con man, and he's expanding an imperial venture into another country. And anti-Zelig would kick in, and I'd say, well, he does, possess the responsibility for the security and well-being of 300 million Americans. and there are dangerous people in the world. And there is such a thing as American strategic interests. And a lot of those strategic interests are built around basically propping up a corporate hegemony that gives us the greatest standard of living in the world. But that's his responsibility. And how many of us would be willing to give up our standard of living in service of our ideals?
Absolutely.
Well, 300 million people might not agree with you. So, I've been all over this argument. And here I am tonight with, I think I got, my interlocutors are skeptics. And so, I don't want to defend Barack Obama. I want to say a few things about Barack Obama. First of all, I don't think he's a Jekyll or Hyde figure. I think, as far as, if you look at his positions that he's taken and the positions he's cashed out, as Ed says, they've pretty much remained pretty consistent since his state Senate career. He's been very good at getting people to be able to project their hopes and ambitions and dreams onto him, which is what made him a good politician, which is what let him beat John McCain. We could wish that he was like us, but he, again, has 300 million people to govern. So I don't want to, defend Barack Obama. I come here not to praise him nor to bury him, but I want to talk about some political realities. And I'd like to go back to some of these figures we're talking about. Presidents who presided over progressive change, FDR, Lyndon Johnson, and presidents who seem to have retreated from progressive change, people like Bill Clinton. Ed said we need to make these guys uncomfortable. Absolutely. What makes Barack Obama uncomfortable?
Not much.
I have no fucking idea. This is hard. It's not just going to be having the right answers to the right questions. That's never really worked in American history. People in Kansas are scared shitless. We could say, I wish they weren't scared shitless, but people in Kansas, Ben Nelson's constituents, are damaged by 230 years, 240 years of American history, a history full of tension and anxiety and unmastered passions and violence, and this is the hand that Barack Obama has been dealt. So, how does change happen? Movements are extremely important. Lighting a fire under a man's ass is the best way to get him to run in the direction you prefer him to run. But the power of the presidency is awesome. And changing his mind and getting his attention is an enormously powerful and useful thing. So let's get down to brass tacks. FDR, he wasn't really a conservative. He was actually a quite progressive governor in New York. He was quite pioneering in doing things like installing unemployment compensation, one of the pioneering unemployment compensation laws. He did run in 1932 on a platform of balancing the budget, but that's because he was a damn good hustler himself. That's what it took to get the nomination in 1932. He had no intention of balancing the budget. He knew exactly what needed to be done.